Woman who just had a baby looks under the newborn blanket and starts crying. Most first-time mothers have multiple memorable encounters in the first few moments of their newborn's life. Lauren Herzog got more than she bargained for in her early interactions with her baby, especially when she took a peek underneath the blanket she was wrapped in. Having gone through so much during the course of a difficult pregnancy and birth, this was one of the last things she was expecting to have to deal with that day. New parents Chad and Lauren were elated with the fact that their baby girl Everly had finally arrived in the world. Falling in love with her instantly, they were thrilled to see what a beautiful baby she was. They were also thankful that everything had gone according to plan during birth, which had its fair share of complications on the day. When Lauren innocently took a look under her baby blanket, she was stunned by what she saw. This particular couple wasn't adding a new member to their family for the first time. Having already had their son Caden, they expected it to be a relatively similar experience the second time around. After all, how different could each pregnancy be? They had planned to grow their family, and within no time, a second bundle of joy was on the way. In November of 2014, their lives changed forever when Lauren gave birth to baby Everly. Barely even a day old, Everly proved popular with friends and family, with swarms of visitors coming to say hello to the new arrival in the hospital room. Each loved one that saw the baby fell instantly in love with the little bundle of joy. Chad was incredibly excited to be introducing his baby girl to the people he cared about the most. Although the hospital room was buzzing with excitement, Lauren couldn't have anticipated what was going to happen next. They say that parents have a sixth sense when it comes to the safety of their own children. Lauren was over the moon for the new arrival, especially when friends and family lit up as they saw the baby. She couldn't help but feel like something was brewing behind the scenes. It seemed like one person, in particular, was out of sorts. Chad was acting a little strange, and she grew somewhat suspicious of his behavior right off the bat. It's no surprise that newborns primarily do three things: eat, sleep, and go to the bathroom. They are also quite demanding little things, as any parent can testify to. After a full day of being pampered and coddled by loved ones, and having gone through multiple changes already, Lauren's aunt noticed that baby Everly was in need of another one. Noticing that her niece was tired, she called a nurse to help out this time. After giving the baby a good cuddle, Lauren's aunt realized that the baby was a little fussy as well, likely wanting some love from her parents. This was not unusual, as babies need their parents by their side almost always. She planted a kiss on her forehead before handing the baby to the nurse to change. Lauren and Chad did not take their eyes off the baby. After a brief pause, Lauren insisted she wanted to change the diaper herself. Lauren felt a big wave of emotion as she held her baby girl, overwhelmed by what she and Chad had been through to get to this moment. This was the kind of couple that would always have each other's backs, no matter what. She later recalled in a YouTube video that in the first few moments of being a new mother she had been helped so wonderfully by the nurses, that she wished she could take one of them home with her. In the online video, Lauren discussed that one nurse in particular had helped her to learn how to swaddle baby Everly. This is something that every parent needs to learn how to do perfectly. She didn't have to do much of it with baby Caden a few years prior and needed help to get the hang of it. Although exhausted, she powered through in these early stages, still blissfully unaware of what was waiting for her right around the corner. Now preparing to change the diaper of her young child, Lauren could feel the exhaustion washing over her. She had been through so much, and it seemed like there was still so much left to do. Although she probably could have done so herself, a nearby nurse offered to give a helping hand. This particular nurse was more than happy to do so, as she had been roped in for a secret plan that she was just about to start implementing. Although enamored with little Everly, many of the family and friends who were there wanted to see her little body in what would be the first outfit she would wear in her entire life. Everly had been wrapped up tightly by the nurse after she was changed, and people were growing more curious to see her adorable little hands and toes. This desperate feeling is completely understandable, and this was one particularly adorable tot that deserved all the attention in the world. Although most of Everly was already there to be seen, the family members demanded a closer look at her. Lauren's spy-day sense tingled yet again, and she couldn't help but feel that something strange was busy happening. She was just happy to have her newborn safely in her arms, even though her levels of suspicion were gradually growing. Even through all her exhaustion and emotionalness, Lauren could tell that something was off. Little did she know that things were about to take a turn. As more visitors asked to see Everly out of her blanket, Lauren obliged. She was excited about showing off her new bundle of joy. In the back of her mind she had a strong urge to make sure she held onto the baby. This is a natural and protective instinct that most mothers have over their babies. The moment the baby was out of the blanket, Lauren's mouth dropped to the ground. She was in total disbelief. As she was removing the blanket, Lauren noticed that the nurse had wrapped Everly fairly tightly. In her mind, perhaps a little too tightly. She struggled a little bit to unwrap her properly, and for a split second wondered if the nurse wasn't up to no good. Many mothers' protectiveness often turns into paranoia, especially when people start behaving strangely. Little did she know then that she would have all the answers she would need in just a few short moments. Lauren wondered whether little Everly was able to breathe properly from under the tight wrap. She worried that perhaps the baby wasn't getting as much oxygen as she needed throughout her entire body. In as fast a motion as she could, she unwrapped her, only to realize that something mysterious had been lurking underneath the blanket all along. She was about to get the surprise of a lifetime and she had no idea it was coming. When she first spotted it, Lauren was the only one who had seen it. It knocked the wind out of her in one fell swoop. For a second, she pondered whether she was a misunderstanding, and in her state of hormonal exhaustion, it was possible that she was seeing things. Had she been through so much that her senses were starting to play tricks on her? Was this actually happening, and was what she was seeing actually real? The room went very quiet. As the family turned towards the scene at the center of the room, it was all over. While there was an excitable chatter in the room in the minutes leading up to this moment, everything was about to take a turn. Lauren's mom wore a puzzled expression as she processed what she was seeing. In just a few short minutes, everything had changed. Everly wasn't the same as she was before her last diaper change. Taking in what she was seeing, Lauren could hardly contain her shock and disbelief. In that split-second reaction, she wondered about what to do next. She turned to her boyfriend Chad as soon as she realized what was happening. She was still trying to process it, and hoped that he would help to confirm to her that her suspicions were right. She was not a fool, that was for sure. One look would give it all away. Chad's face gave away the situation right away. They knew each other better for a long time, that they had learned to gauge each other's reactions. Lauren knew right away that what she was seeing was real, and that it wasn't something she was making up in her head. The birthing process is a whirlwind of emotion, and new mothers often misinterpret things. In the moment, her postpartum troubles paused and she couldn't believe that this was happening today. Adding to the instant confusion, Lauren let out a loud scream at the sight of what was underneath her baby's blanket. Her face had given away that it was something puzzling, and that she had experienced shock and a slight sense of joy in the moment. Surrounded by friends and family, she couldn't believe that it was all about to happen right there and then. Some things are just too incredible to comprehend, perhaps even more sensational than a newborn. While new mom Lauren couldn't hide her shock at what she saw, her partner Chad was not going to give anything away to the other people in the room. He did his best to remain as stone-faced as possible, even though Lauren knew that the jig was up. Some people do their best to hide their true emotions, even when it all feels overwhelming. As it turns out, the nurse who swaddled Everly had been in on the mysterious plan all along. In a bid to confirm her suspicions, Lauren took another look underneath the blanket, before revealing her discovery to everyone else in the room. This was not an ordinary situation. It was about to become something entirely unforgettable. Wide-eyed and still in disbelief, she glanced down at baby Everly and realized that this was really happening after all. Amazingly, there was nothing sinister to this mysterious and perplexing situation. She knew that everything would be all right. In that exact moment, everyone else in the room got a glimpse of baby Everly's outfit, a custom-designed onesie. It was a beautiful and cozy piece, but that was not what amazed everyone. Lauren knew that she had been changed by the nurse, as she wasn't wearing what she had been wearing just some hours earlier. It's been a plot all along, and her suspicions were now confirmed. The whole family was about to discover this amazing secret. Once their loved ones realized what was written on Everly's onesie, they all turned to Chad. He remained as indifferent as possible, trying not to give anything away until Lauren had responded. Chad had realized what had happened with the baby and her onesie, and he realized that everything he had set up was finally going to come to fruition in this special moment. Chad had worked very hard to stop everyone from getting to the truth until the time was exactly right. If baby Everly was thinking about taking a nap, she was about to be woken up properly by her mother's excited screams. Lauren couldn't help herself, shouting the word "yes" over and over again. the nurse who had changed Everly's diaper and onesie listened intently from the outside of the door. She was so happy that everything was busy going according to Chad's plan. This was to be an unforgettable moment for everyone in the room. As Lauren lifted her baby out of the blanket and turned to face her to everyone else in the room, the mystery of what she had seen was finally revealed to everyone in the room. There was a question written on the small outfit that everyone had to squint a little to see exactly what it said. This was no ordinary or simple question. It was a life-changing one for Lauren and the rest of the family. As it turns out, Lauren's hunch that something was up had been proven to be true. Chad had enlisted the nurse to help him with a special plan to surprise his girlfriend and the mother of 2 children. Within a moment of everyone seeing what the question was on Everly's onesie, the silence turned to joy and laughter, as the room turned their attention to the new mother to see how she would react. So, how would Lauren respond to this elaborate plan? Sensing the moment, Chad crept closer to Lauren and positioned himself at the side of her hospital bed, ready for anything. The special message would have even more special significance if he was able to get himself beside his girlfriend and their brand new baby girl. This was what had made Lauren shriek at the top of her voice initially, and her screams of "yes" were now completely understandable to everyone else in the room that day. On one knee and turning to his newborn baby, he removed something strange from the clasp of her tiny little hand. As it turns out, she had been carrying a ring with her since the nurse had changed her. In what was a truly unforgettable moment, Chad, on one knee, proposed to the future Mrs. McDevitt right there and then. Although she had already shouted her answer, she replied with a resonating yes once more. In a second, the entire room exploded with cheers of happiness. People had tears in their eyes, and the couple knew that this was a moment they would definitely remember for the rest of their lives. It was time to celebrate. For people towards the back, a closer glimpse at the onesie revealed the message Lauren had seen when she opened up the blanket initially. It read, "Mommy, will you marry Daddy?" The proposal had been there waiting for the first moment Lauren unwrapped baby Everly. This was a changing moment for the couple. Just a day after giving birth to their second child, they were now engaged to be married. A lifetime of eternal happiness and joy now awaited for this special family. Life often takes surprise twists and turns, and who knows, you may even experience something similar at some point. Until then, share this special story with your loved ones to put a smile on their faces too.